All right, good afternoon. It is the last lesson of this unit. So, chapter 11, lesson 9, completing the square. So, our lesson objective is I can write the equation of a circle by completing the square. On this front page, this is going to be a very short lesson, guys. On the front of this page are steps to completing the square. So the very first thing that we always have to do is make sure that the highest coefficient, the lead coefficient, has a power of 1 so that we can solve. Once we do that, in our case, it will always be like that. In Algebra 1, maybe not, but in this case it will. We're going to need to move any constant terms to the right-hand side to complete the square. Then last year, I believe all of your teachers had you wrote it out kind of like this, where it was like x squared plus 8x plus something blank equals 4 plus blank. Those boxes, or I do little lines for my Algebra 1 kids, help you remember that you need to add a number in there. To find that number, I'm going to scroll down. To find that number, what you do is you take half of this middle term. So my middle term is 8. I'm going to take half of that, 4, and then square 4 and put it in the blank. It goes in the blank on this side, but it also goes in the blank on this side. Once you have a new trinomial, you can factor that trinomial down here into a perfect square trinomial to get x plus 4 squared equals 20. And this is where we're going to stop this year. Where last year you guys would take the square root of each side, we're going to stop right there because that's going to help us with our center and radius of our circle. Now, I don't exactly know how your Algebra 1 teacher taught you last year, but I have a little bit of a trick to help you to complete the square. So the very first thing that we're going to do, if we get something like this, find the center and radius of the circle equations, I'm going to get something like this, and there's a lot of things going on. The very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put my x's near my x's and my y's near my y's. So that's the very first thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to rewrite this as x squared minus 6x plus y squared plus 8y, and then I'm just going to leave that plus 14 equals 0 for right now. But my next step is going to be to move that 14 to the other side of that equal sign. Now, when I do that, I'm also going to leave in some blanks when I rewrite. So I'm going to get x squared minus 6x plus blank plus y squared plus 8y plus blank equals negative 14 plus blank plus blank. Now, that's a lot of blanks, but you remember from completing the square that that's kind of how it starts to look. Now, I like to do this next step in one big step instead of two separate ones, and it depends on who your teacher was last year and whether or not they did this in one big step or two separate steps. I'll show you it both ways, but I'm going to show you it the way that I like to do it first, because I think it saves you a little bit of time. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I see that I have x squared minus 6x, and I know that to complete the square like we just did up above, I have to take half of 6 and then square it. Now, in my brain, I can very easily say half of 6 is 3, squared is 9, and put that 9 here. But to save myself a little bit of time, when I rewrite it, I'm going to start writing my set of parentheses already. So here's my parenthesis. I'm going to start with my x. Then I'm going to say to myself, half of negative 6 is negative 3. Squared is going to go in that blank is 9. See how I did that? So half goes down here. The squared goes up here in the same step. So then I'm going to put my 9 over here also. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my y. Plus, and now I've got to do this with my y's. So y, half of 8 is positive 4, squared is 16. So my 16 goes up here and up here. Do you see how that kind of saved me another extra minute of time? Now I'm going to add negative 14 plus 9 plus 16 is going to give me a positive 11. And now I can identify my center and my radius from this equation. My center is at positive 3, negative 4, and my radius is the square root of 11. We're going to practice again. And remember that we're going to also practice this in class tomorrow when I'm there. All right, going on to number 2. This one is already nicely written. No, it's not. I thought it was nicely written for us. It's not. That's okay. We're going to rewrite it again. So I'm going to put all my x's together first. X squared minus 4x, and my y's, plus y squared plus 16y. And then I'm just going to keep this plus 67 equals 0. Move my constant term over to the other side. I get x squared minus 4x plus blank plus y squared plus 16y plus blank equals negative 67 plus blank plus blank. All right. Now here's where my trick comes in handy again. X, half of negative 4 is negative 2. Squared is positive 4. Plus y, half of 16 is 8. Squared is 64. So then my 4 and my 64 go over here. And that's going to give me 1 when I add them together. So right away, again, I have my center and my radius that I can easily identify. My center is located at 2, negative 8, and my radius is the square root of 1, which is the same as 1. Now, I know completing the square may not be your favorite. It was never mine, to be honest, until I learned that trick. Now, I actually think completing the square is super useful. But I understand if it's getting tricky. But we're going to do 2 more. I think that's it, just 2. 3 more, and then we'll be done. I'm going to try not to go super fast, but again, you can always pause if you're getting stuck and rewind, which is super great about these videos. So again, I'm going to put my x's together and my y's together. So x squared plus 12x plus y squared plus 6y plus that 44 equals 0. I'm going to move the 44 over to the other side. Oops. I get x squared plus 12x plus something plus y squared plus 6y plus something equals negative 44 plus something plus something. All right. X, half of 12 is 6. Squared is 36. So 36 is going to go there and also on the other side of my equal sign. Plus y squared plus 6y. Half of 6 is going here. 3 squared. 3 squared is going up here. 9. And now I can simplify that right-hand side of my equation. And I've got negative 44 plus 36 plus 9 is again positive 1. So when I identify the center and my radius, my center is at negative 6, negative 3. My radius is positive 1. And again, I promise that this is only me getting better with completing the square and practice. If you continue to practice this, you can get this fast also. But remember that you can rewind. All right, 2 more. X squared minus 18x plus y squared plus 8y plus 96 equals 0. I'm going to subtract my 96 to the other side. X squared minus 18x plus blank plus y squared plus 8y plus blank equals negative 96. Half of negative 18 is negative 9. Negative 9 squared is 81. Half of 8 is positive 4. Squared is 16. And if I simplify this side, I get 1 again. It's kind of weird how it worked out like that. My center is located at positive 9, negative 4. My radius is at 1. All right, last one for today, and probably for this year. We've got x squared plus 6x plus y squared minus 20y plus 93 equals 0. X squared plus 6x plus blank plus y squared minus 20y plus blank equals negative 93 plus blank plus blank. Now, did I just skip from one step to the next? Kind of. I just didn't really show this part of subtracting 93 from both sides, but we all knew what happened when I moved from one step to the next. All right, going forward, half of 6 is 3. Squared goes up here, 9. Plus y, half of negative 20 is negative 10. Squared, 10 squared goes up here, 100. And then over here also is 9 and 100. Now, this one, luckily for me, is not 1 anymore. It's 109 minus 93, which is 16. So this is where, I don't want to say it's tricky, but my center is easy to locate. It's negative 3, positive 10. My radius, we have to remember it's not 16, it's the square root of 16, or positive 4. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow in class with some more practice on this, because this is very important. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll practice some more. Have a good night.